there. But yeah, we had a major meltdown earlier today because Dolly not gonna have her birthday party again because lockdown. So she's was like, I was promised a birthday party.
Oh, bless.
And so we're trying to make it special for her again. But yeah, it was she would just realize when like we were telling her the stats that it's not till the end of April, and she's like, no, we have to have a birthday party. I was like, okay, we'll figure
Get,
something.
get on the phone to Nicola.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So cool. Well, it looks like we're live here, so we won't talk about my children. People are gonna tune in and go, "Oh my gosh, he's talking about his kids again." There, John's just doing anything, but yeah, he's gone away, so he should have done this beforehand. So we're still live. We can chat away there.
Yeah.
So was that you that covered up the graffiti down in Edinburgh?
No, that was one of the residents. They decided they'd had enough of the phallic image.
It was up for quite a bit. I was up for like a couple months there.
I did intend on it. I took my paintbrush down. Somebody already beat me to it. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was up there. So I think the residents have been using the area, and so I was surprised that they let go up there for so long. So if you're watching now, you're wondering what we're talking about. There was probably a 6x6 foot phallic penis image of that, right on the building in Edinburgh, and yeah, we not much we could really do about it.
Kind of broke lockdown restrictions a little bit, like Edinburgh, but needs must.
Yeah, I guess it's the field's actually in pretty good shape, and all things considered. The few times I've gone down there, I thought for sure Edinburgh Leisure would just kind of ignore it and let the weeds grow as long as possible.
To be fair to them, they have been cutting the grass and good condition for when they return.
And then did they keep you informed on what happened to the tree, or is that just a mystery?
That's a mystery.
I don't know if I was a resident and my view was blocked. The mysteries.
It's a real shame for us. The right field's just going to get wetter with that thing missing.
Yeah,
the water. So we're going to have to move our field slightly along a bit, I think.
I don't think. I mean, the guy whoever did it clearly did it in the middle of the night during a rainstorm. So, they thought this one out.
They were absolutely dedicated.
I mean, it must have been like what, past midnight in the rain to go and sit there with a hacksaw and cut it all down. So, it's not something that I would have done, but oh well. But yeah, I guess you're right. Like I said, that tree probably did soak up a lot of that water out that way because it gets very swampy out there. So I'll be curious to see how they're gonna deal with that.
John Stowe.
Maybe when we get that £1 million donation and we build the clubhouse out there, we can build proper drainage out that way.
Yeah. If only we had that. You're ready.
Yeah.
Any millionaires watching,
Exactly.
For some money.
Anyone, if you feel like giving up, if you live in the States and feel like giving up your $2,000 stimulus check to us, we only need a couple, 50,000. You don't really need the money. We do. We're an amateur baseball league. But yeah, no, that's a real shame there. But I guess it's one of those things. I guess if you rally the neighborhood around, you probably could easily get everyone to pitch in to do some improvements to the area there. But yeah, we never know. So it's always easier said than done, and no one wants to spend any more money than they have to do.
Well, that's it. Yeah, never know. Might need all we can get just in the right price to the cover, but that's a different discussion, not for a baseball podcast.
Well, we'll cover that in another show when we start begging people for money.
You ready to go, boys?
Yeah, we filling the airwaves up for whoever's might be watching. So we're not just staring at each other, just going, all right.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Ball Caps and Bagpipes, a Scottish baseball podcast. Jason, I have waited so very long to say that. Well, we are finally close to baseball in Scotland again, and tonight we are joined by President of Baseball Scotland, Paul Convoy. We're going to get to Paul in just a second. Let's introduce ourselves. First, I'm John of the Glasgow Comets.
And I'm Jason, former league president and Baseball Scotland Hall of Famer. Yeah, it's good to be back. We've kind of taken a detour for a while. Funny enough, it's the year anniversary when we had Poppy on for season 2 last year.
Yeah, yeah, I remember those times when we were optimistic about potentially playing a season in 2020. And Poppy was, of course, very excited about all the tournaments that the ladies had coming up at the time. If we had only known the impact that COVID-19 was going to have on the game here. Fortunately, things are looking up, as we said. We are joined by Paul Convoy. We're going to touch on what we've been up to over the off-season in a moment, but first, welcome back to the show, Paul.
Hi, hello, how you doing?
Doing very well, man, and how are you doing?
I'm okay. These latest announcements have been music to my ears. So.
Great to hear, man. I'm glad to hear that you're doing well. Why don't you straight away get into those announcements? What's been announced recently and how does it affect Scottish baseball?
Well, with the First Minister announcing that non-contact sport can resume for people up to 15, we have got the green light to start training in small groups, obviously, but at least it's a start. So we gave the green light at the league AGM on Sunday for all clubs to start pretty much as soon as they were able. Most will be this Sunday coming. So if anyone's looking to join a team, reach out to the local team there and see if you can go along and join in a session. There will be track and trace and all the restrictions there with, washing balls and bats and stuff. But we have the protocols in place from when we did this last year. And we can guarantee there will be competitive baseball in Scotland this year.
Just to hammer that home, Paul, you are in fact guaranteeing there will be a season of some sort. That's amazing to hear. It's music to my ears, man. Now let's talk about the protocols. You mentioned the COVID protocols from last year. Are they going to stay exactly the same, or have there been extra protocols added as the recent developments potentially led to there not being so many of them? What's the script there?
To be honest, the return to play protocols we had with BSUK and Sport Scotland, a collaboration between the three of us there, they were very robust and they covered absolutely everything, and there's nothing really changing within that. The biggest hurdle right now we've got is the travel restrictions, because you're kind of limited to your own local area. So these groups of 15, it's only really for the local people to get together. But with announcements today that these are going to start easing off at the beginning of April, and then hopefully by the end of April we'll be good to go. And we are penciling in a date of the start of a proper season, however that may look, at the start of June, to give people plenty of time to train and get ready for competitive baseball.
Brilliant. Now we are starting the season in June. How many games will this season look? How in terms of the number of games, how does this season look compared to others? I don't imagine we'll have 18, 20 games this year. What can we expect to see in terms of the structure?
Those are that's still under discussion with at the board level. We had a discussion around how much we wanted to promise players, because one of the big things last year was, especially at club level, the managers thought that they were promising things and then taking them away just as quickly. The big one being the Battle for Britain last year, where we were all set to go, and the travel restrictions changed, and and the whole dynamic because of COVID changed. The threat level went up with catching it and all this, and we couldn't field the team in the end. And that was a shame for the half the guys that were able and willing to go, but then only half a team you can't play a tournament. So we want to try and avoid that. And here I am saying we're going to have a baseball season, so I'm kind of messed up a little bit. But and however that may look, we're not entirely sure. But we do want to, at least say that there will be competitive play. And by August and then in September, we should have a full season. However that may look, and hopefully the vaccination programs rolled out, and we're all looking to return to semi-normal life, I suppose. And baseball's going to be part of that, which is fantastic.
It's absolutely brilliant news, man. Now, going back to the AGM from the other day, we've got the great news about a 2021 season and COVID and maybe, you know, a bit of a light at the end of the tunnel there. Were there any other highlights from the AGM that you can share with us? Anything exciting in terms of the development of the game outside of that?
Through 2020, the board got together because we had a lot of time, and we've drew up for development. As part of that, we're trying to focus on getting more people involved, obviously, and as part of that, we're also looking to make the league a bit more competitive. And to fall in line with the rest of British baseball, ultimately, the ultimate goal is to split into two levels, a higher level and a lower level. So this year, we're trialing a 7-inning league game with a 3-inning or, you know, however long the development game. So it gives rookies a chance to get some game time in, to learn the game, because it's the best way to learn, by playing it. And it allows us to develop new pitchers, new catchers, and even new umpires as well, because they can get some experience in that as well. So we're going to trial that this year, with the opportunity that we've got, especially with the likelihood that the Giants still won't be taking part in the league this year. And Aberdeen aren't sure of their numbers returning back to their club, so they're likely only going to field one team this year, just as we get to grips with how 2020 was impacting clubs. You know, we just don't know who's going to come back. We have a big international contingent in the playing league, and the last thing we want to do is make a commitment that we're going to field a team and realise that some of those players can't make it back, or, you know, they've decided to move on because of the lockdown.
Yeah, now you mentioned the teams that will be taking part. Obviously, you mentioned it's not likely that the Edinburgh Giants will be back this year. I know that the long-term plan is probably for them to return to the league at some point. Interesting that you mentioned Aberdeen. Obviously, the Oilers have gone from strength to strength to strength in the past few years. The Aberdeen Express, in their first season of 2019, they lit the league on fire. I think they were runners-up, I believe, I think they were runners-up in the league table, and obviously, I believe, were also runners-up in the Caledonia Classic. So, which of the sides is it that's struggling? Are you able to say, or
I think it's a collective of both teams. There was and in the Aberdeen club, there's a big university presence there.
Yeah.
And the way that university students are, it's some had to go home because of the lockdown and the pandemic, and some decided not to come back. Some are still not able to return because of various rules and restrictions. So right now, the goal is that two will be fielded, but until they get players back on the field, they're not going to know who's there. So yeah, there's a plan A and a plan B for Aberdeen. There's a plan A and a plan B for Edinburgh. There's a plan A and a plan B for the league. So there's still a lot of questions to be answered regarding play, but definitely looking towards a positive, or there will be a.
Perfect. Let's look for a moment into the future. You've mentioned there the development system that you're kind of working on. I think it's an interesting development that I'm particularly interested in the umpiring side of it. I gave umpiring a bash last year in a friendly game, and I've had some unkind words for umpires in the past, and let's just say it was a bit of an eye opener. Kind of all the experience.
Yeah, there's some new appreciation when you're standing there.
Yeah, and a new respect for the boys in blue, that's for sure. So tell us a wee bit more about that, if you can. How long has this project been in the pipeline? Where do you anticipate that going? Do you anticipate that going from the 1 hour game into a separate league or a separate division? Will there be new teams coming out of this? What's the plan going forward?
Right now, it's just to see where it takes us. The goal is to have two separate leagues. One that's a double A, triple A level, and one at single A. We are the only league in the UK that don't have that designation. And of course, our mantra as an organisation is that everybody plays. If you want to play baseball, you get to come play baseball with us. You know, we're one, we can't be and two, we want people to enjoy and fall in love with the sport like we all have. So in order to grow it, we've got to give opportunity there for people who are a bit less confident. and allow them to grow their confidence, and that can be playing or umpiring, and pitching as well. It allows pitchers to hone their skills. And the long-term plan is that we'll have 2 separate leagues. If that means more teams, that's great. It might just be a team has a higher level and a lower level. We'll just have to wait and see how it goes. But yeah, we're kind of hoping for the next 5 years to gradually build this up.
Excellent. Now we've talked briefly about the 3 areas that already had established teams. What about Tayport? Is Tayport sticking around? Will Jason West's team be fielding a team this year? And if so, I think they're a wee bit similar, I guess, to Aberdeen, but there is the chance that Aberdeen will be able to field 2 teams and they could play each other in a worst case scenario. Where does Tayport fit in if the travel restrictions are sticking around for the time being?
Well, this is one hurdle we're going to have to cross if we are restricted by travel for any length of time in the future. But people are absolutely part of this league. The work that Jason West and the guys up there have put in is phenomenal. They really should be commended for the amount of work he's done. Already they're part of the community up there. They're cementing plans for youth development, and they've got the field built. They're looking to get a backstop. They've sponsorship opportunities coming up. Yeah, that club's going from strength to strength without even having played a competitive game of baseball. It's amazing.
I'm actually surprised they don't have a second team already by now. He's in an extra year to go work on it. So you never know. He could come and announce this next week. So now we've had another 12 guys. We got a second team to play against.
Things aren't happening that fast. I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah, I mean, they practically built a field overnight, those guys. You touched on youth development. We saw a wee bit of that in Glasgow the last year or so, and obviously in Edinburgh, that's been a bit of a, there's been a programme in Edinburgh for a few years. Has there been any discussion about youth development as a wider project across the league? And if so, what's the plan for youth development moving forward, like the under 14s, so to speak?
Yeah, again, it's part of our development plan. We have different sections for each area. The plan for youth was just to initially have a strong presence in each club. The youth programme in Edinburgh kind of dips in and out, and that's mainly due to just having the manpower to run it. The volunteer coach there, Ritzabowski, is a fantastic coach, but he's not on social media, so it's hard to get things advertised, and there's really not much help from either, which is the problem. So we're looking to fix that in Edinburgh. Through in Glasgow, there's no affiliation to the Glasgow club, but it's BSC, a sports group in Glasgow that run the baseball training, and I know that comics players are doing the coaching there. Jason Stott and Danny Quinn, and I think Harry Price was there for a while as well last year. So they're looking to return, as far as I'm aware. The Aberdeen Coos, as they're called, the youth club up there, they are going from strength to strength. They should have some graduates joining the league this year from that team, and more in the pipeline. So hopefully we, in the Tayport, making plans for theirs. The initial plan is just to get a gathering of youths to play baseball, and if we have to form 2 teams out of those four clubs, we'll do that just to get a game happening. The long-term goal for that is to split into age groups. We're looking to see if we can get into schools and have a contact with BSUK and Sport Scotland there that are willing to form an input and see how they can help. It's just going to take time, but that's part of our plans, is to really grow the youth system. Without the youth system, we're not going to grow youth. We need the kids to become adults that want to play.
Yeah. How do we go about, because I've been playing for a good few years now. You guys have both obviously been part of the league far longer than I have, and something that I've never really seen happen in Baseball Scotland is getting into schools and colleges all that much. What can we do to change that, and why do you think that hasn't been the case before?
No, it's difficult. You've got to have the right paperwork for a start. you know,
Right.
and getting DSC checked isn't cheap for a club. But with BSUK's charter that we have signed up to, they have a full safeguarding policy, and they are helping you go through that. So with their help, we'll get the right certification and right setup there that we can then say, here we are safeguarding accredited. We're going to go into a sort of classroom environment and try and sell baseball as a sport. So I think that's been the biggest blocker historically. And it comes down to volunteers. Someone there willing to put the time in. And I think now, more than ever, we have got those people that are willing to do it.
Yeah, I can say from my perspective, it was a lot to do. Is like I actually worked for Edinburgh Council, and I talked to these people directly, and they literally had zero interest in putting baseball in the schools, because then you've got to go teach every after-school counselor how to play the sport like that there, and they go, we just don't have time. You know, I don't have the time to go and learn this sport and then teach my kids that. So it's much easier to go say rounders or something else that we already know that they're familiar with. And then the people that want to find baseball can go out and find it. And that was the way they looked at it there.
I think part of the key is working with the softball leagues as well, and see if maybe softball is an easier option to get into schools, because that can be the sort of gateway game to playing baseball. So if the kids in school play softball, they can maybe then come into the baseball clubs and have the basics and be ready to go. So
it's a tough one. Like I said, you've got to find someone from softball that wants to work with you.
Again, that's a challenge as well.
We won't go down that road anywhere there. But yeah, so I think John probably doesn't know all the stuff that goes behind that there. But yeah, I mean, we had one point, Wolfie was teaching a class for 10 weeks long, and it was like 30, 40 kids. And we all said, you know what, there's free baseball if you come up a couple hours later to the field, and we didn't have anyone show up. So that might have been on Wolfie. I'm not going to lie. That could definitely have been on Wolfie.
I mean, Wolfie, as lovely as he is, he's he's quite an intense individual.
He's got personality. He's got a lot of personality.
I love the man to bits, but yeah, he's quite full on at times.
I'll say it. He's pretty scary. I'm a 33-year-old man, and the guy terrifies me. So.
That's all right. Like I said, we all Wolfie. I mean, Wolfie is a legend. Like, I mean, he's no one's more passionate about playing baseball than Wolfie. I mean,
for sure.
Guy's logged more miles than all of us combined, and then
for sure, yeah.
Yes. Everyone playing baseball in Scotland owes a little bit to that man.
It's absolutely true. I completely agree. Yeah. Certainly was I would say, absolutely deserving first ever Scottish Baseball Hall of Famer, alongside my esteemed co-host here a couple of years back. What's the plans for the Hall of Fame this year? Are we looking at an awards dinner in the Hall of Fame, or is this something that's not going to be able to happen?
It's hard enough trying to organise a season, John.
We literally have training starting this weekend, John. You're asking about dinners and award shows. Are you angling to be the host? Is that the question here? Because I'm going to miss this one then.
I mean, I might or might not want to MC it, yeah. You and I should do that every year, I think. We should always be the MCs.
You know what? I would do that to see you in a tuxedo, or the kilt. We'll go for it.
Now that you mention it, actually, that may not be such a good idea. Let's talk more about the UK scene. You've mentioned, obviously, the Baseball Scotland signing up to the BS UK Charter and all that. What's the landscape looking like for UK tournaments? Are we looking like we might get some in later in the year? Or is this something that you're going to put off just now for a Scottish season just now, and then maybe revisit next year? What's the plan at the moment, Paul?
We've signed up to the Battle for Britain again. Initially, I was going to suggest we hold off just because of the COVID. But when they announced that they were holding it at Farnham Park, I thought that's too good an opportunity to miss. If no one's been to that complex down in Slough, it is a fantastic baseball setup. I was lucky enough to go down there and watch Ren Quantrill and Connor Smith when they were representing the Lancashire Legends with Coach J-Rod down there, and I was down for a weekend visiting my brother in London. Took the trip out there, watched Socially Distant, and it's a great setup. You know, for our guys to go down there and play on full diamonds that are fully enclosed, backstop dugouts a lot, that'd be a great opportunity. And of course, we still had our money banked from 2020 anyway. so yeah, we want to go. The plan's there. It's this last weekend in May. All going to plan. We will be able to travel. That was announced today.
Yeah.
And it's set up into two groups. We have been put into the higher group along with Northern Knights, who are the reigning champions since we were the Southwest Rebeldes, the Vetra guys, I believe Kent Buccaneers, obviously, are the ones organising it. And I think the Bracknell Blazers are going to be entering a team, which is a team of former National League players here in the UK. So that's set to be a fantastic opportunity. Obviously, there's been a development announced today in our league that's got my heart rocking for that team. I won't go into that, but if we can field a strong team there, we've got a good chance of competing.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. There might be a massive piece of that national team that won't be around by the time the battle for Britain happens. Gutting, but it'll be just exciting, I think, if we can get a chance to go down. Obviously, I think it was touch and go right up until the last minute last year when it came to the Battle of Britain in terms of whether Baseball Scotland would be able to go down, and obviously, eventually, it turned out that it just wasn't in the pipeline. So it'll be great to go down there. I mean, I haven't actually been to any the kind of national team tournaments, so I'm definitely hoping to get down and actually represent Scotland for a change instead of sitting at home wishing I was there. So that's great news on the Battle for Britain front. As for the other national side, Women's Baseball Scotland, do we have any idea what kind of a season the women will have in 2021? Are they optimistic about getting games in? Are they looking at tournaments, or are they going to have to wait a bit longer?
So the women's league is run through the BBF. The Aberdeen Thistles are the team from Scotland that's entered that. But we're also setting up a team based in Stirling. The reason we're going to base it in Stirling is so as players from Edinburgh, Glasgow, and anywhere else in base central Scotland can basically get together in a central point. Stirling's nice and easy to get to. And the university team there are developing a fantastic field. It's probably going to be the most beautiful backdrop. It is the most beautiful backdrop. When the field set up, it'll be the prettiest field in the UK, I swear to God. You've got left field's got views of the Wallace Monument, right field's got views of the local hills. It is a beautiful site up there. And they've changed the facilities and stuff. I'm a little bit biased because I went to Stirling University.
I was going to say, I was going to get to that. I don't think John knew that, so he's done it really well here.
But no, I'll be serious with that. Just the views from the home plate area are great. I umpired a university game in 2019 in there, and just between innings, I was just looking about and going, "This is amazing."
Yeah, it's a far cry from the Battersea being Barlinnie Prison in Glasgow.
I think it's called having character. Come on now. It's like Wolfie. It's got character.
Yeah, I mean, it's not.
Yeah, the scratch team for the women's team, we're calling it a scratch team. It's yet to be named. And we're hoping just to get as much women in Scotland playing as possible. And it gives them an incentive to play. The games that are going to happen, they'll be happening. I think right now it's tentative dates, but they'll be taking place on Saturdays, so they won't impact the regular season in the rest of the UK. Because all games in the UK are played on a Sunday, and so that's another plus. The women's league's a massive thing, and the manager of the women's GB national team, Doris, she's she's very keen to hold tryouts up in Scotland for all the women up here looking to get an opportunity to play for the GB national team. And the coaches have been announced for the team. Superb announcements. They really are setting this women's team up to be the best it possibly can be.
Excellent, man. Let's end there, unless Jason, you have anything.
I was going
else?
to jump in there. So you mentioned Stirling Uni. I know they're not associated with the league, but how have they progressed? I see occasional posts on Instagram from them, but that's really about it. Because I know we talked about reaching out to them last year, and of course everything's been locked down now. But I'm assuming they feed some information to you from time to time to let them know how they're doing.
Yeah. We've got a little back and forth going sometimes. The big thing for the university teams in Scotland is that baseball is now part of the Bucks sports programme, so they can get funding from the Bucks programme, and the universities will take an active role in helping them out, which has been instrumental for Stirling. Without that, I don't think they'd have got the progress they've made. And it also gives us opportunity to set up more university teams, and the more that are set up, then the bigger chance we've got of growing the university league. And if you have, as Aberdeen have shown, if you've got a strong university team, you've then got a strong city team, because some of the players will feed into that. So the long-term plan for Stirling is to get a city team set up with Stirling to go alongside the university team and the women's team. And we'll hopefully get university teams set up in Glasgow, Dundee and Edinburgh as well.
Cool. Just like I said, every once in a while I see a post and they're like, "Oh, we got like 20 gloves. So here's some new bats," and it's just like, "Wow, okay, it's still alive." So but it's one of those things. I know we're gonna reach out to them and ask them how things are going there. And I'm assuming there must be some sort of university league possibly happening as well too, or maybe they're gonna aim till next fall when I think that's when they normally play, anyways.
Yes, the season's not the regular summer season because the university's closed during the summer, but yeah, they've got a few dates, and unfortunately, there's just not enough Scottish teams just now to play that many games. But there's two teams up in Aberdeen and one in Stirling that play each other throughout the university season.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that was about it. It was just one of those things. We just wanted you on short and quick. Find out what's going on with the world here. We're excited. It's been a year since we've had like an interview about baseball in Scotland. So
yeah, fingers crossed we can get going soon.
Yeah, let's hope so. Got a few comments here on the stream. Lawrence Cameron says the Oilers are going to hit hard this season. Just saying. Look forward to seeing that, Lawrence. It's always a pleasure to drive 3 hours to Aberdeen. and I've never hit well in Aberdeen the few times I've been there, so I've always had a bit of a miserable time, but that's neither here nor there. Luke Rychuk says, great. It is great. The news is just fantastic. It's like a new lease of life for baseball fans in Scotland after what feels like an age without the game. It's going to be great to get back about it. Raf Devad, which I believe is Davy Farr backwards, says we're ready to go in Tayport. That's great to hear. And the Tayport Baseball Club Facebook has said, awards or not, we are having a party, end of season. Steve Evans says he'll be there for the Battle of Britain, and says the university season goes from September to March, so it's kind of like a reverse of ours.
The weather's pretty good September to March, so you get the games in.
Sure, yeah. Thanks so much for joining us, Paul. If you stick with us, we're going to do our MLB 2021 predictions. So if you want to chuck in your picks, we're just going to go with division winners and a World Series winner this year, Jason. So I'll let you, Jason, start. What's your picks for the 2021 Major League season?
Well, I mean, it's going to be the Mariners all the way. It's their season. They're going to pull it all in. They're going to pull it all together there. It should be a good one. So I think for the NL, I hate to say it, it's going to be the Dodgers. I think they're best my Padres. For the AL, probably the Yankees. I'm sorry. I hate that pains me to say that, but I'm going to root for the Dodgers over the Yankees in the World Series. So easy picks, but I think there's just too much money floating around that you can't compete with these guys.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it will be the Dodgers and Yankees in the World Series, but I have Garrett Cole defeating Trevor Bauer in Game 7, number 28. That's my dream scenario. That's what I'm going to predict is going to happen, and I really hope so because I really hate Trevor Bauer. Paul, what are your thoughts on the upcoming 162 game full Major League season in 2021?
So yeah, I was kind of in the same boat as you two, which makes it kind of boring. I really want the Padres to do well. I want to see them make the World Series instead of the Dodgers.
Yeah, maybe that's what we should ask. We said we're all see a Dodgers Yankees one, but who do you think could sneak in there? So yeah, the Padres are the one I would think I'm rooting to sneak in there.
Well, Lawrence Cameron has commented again on the stream, and he says Cardinals. Stephen Evans has just said Cardinals are going to shock everyone and win it all.
He's delusional.
I think Stephen's had a few.
Off the whiskey, Stephen.
It's absolutely great. Let me just take a second actually to say it's great to have Stephen back in the league. He headed back over to the States a few years back. He has, however, returned to Scotland full time. He's now living here, and he's going to be back in the league, back on the field. It's great to have him back. And Jamie Keith says 2 homers right there.
That's because he's a Cubs fan. His loyalty's getting all lined up here.
Yeah.
My very good friend and teammate Danny Quinn says the National League is really close if Dodgers bottle it. Mets, Braves and Padres are all strong contenders. Lawrence is asking if we saw Molina's pick off against the Astros. Did anyone see that? I didn't.
No.
I don't really watch spring training.
I don't turn in until the last week of spring training. That's it.
Same. I'm more or less the same. I'll check out. Generally, I check out highlights. I get it Cole starts and any interesting stuff that happens with the Yankees, but nothing really beyond that.
When the guy has 3 numbers on his back, I don't care.
That's a rather a harsh way to put it, Jason. But okay.
No, I just touch you. I check in on our major rookies. So the Mariners outfield rookie prospects are going to be awesome.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
I mean the Mariners first day of spring training, last day of July. I mean the Mariners roster always looks like a spring training roster. So.
You know what? Our roster changes so much every season. Like I can't even tell you the starting lineup is, and it might even change before opening day. So we're one of those kind of things that's going on there. But I'm shooting for a 500 season. That's my goal this year. 500.
I don't think the Mariners are far off that, to be honest. They've got some talented young players. They just need to put it together and click and be allowed to stay together long enough to click. So Stephen Evans, miss you guys. We've missed you too. It's going to be great. And hopefully we'll get Steve on the show. Rory Dunn, everyone's sleeping on the D-backs. Trust me, I don't like to talk about the Diamondbacks and their World Series chances. The idea of the Diamondbacks winning the World Series is literally my living nightmare.
A 20-year anniversary. It sounds like a good time. Or 21 year
Shut the fuck up. Two things. No, don't bring that up. And also, it makes me feel really fucking old because it means it's 20 years since I started watching baseball.
I'll get you that VHS copy I saw on eBay. You can watch it at your place.
So God, yeah, I remember you talking about that. Please don't. If you value my sanity at all, don't get me that. Steve Evans is piped back at Rory. Let's keep this in reality here, Rory. I think we should just sit for an hour and read the comments. This is brilliant.
All right, hey, let's close it up. Let everyone that commented. It's great to hear from you guys. We're super excited that we're gonna be doing this week in, week out. We'll be doing it every Tuesday night from 9 o'clock. We're gonna get everyone on that we want to get on there. I mean, we had a great time doing the Negro League fundraiser. We're enjoying talking to these artists, but again, like it is a Scottish baseball podcast, and it's awesome to have everyone back in here.
It's great to get back to Scottish baseball, and we will still be doing the NLBM art stuff from time to time whenever we have a guest. We should probably touch on that before we close up. Anyone who hasn't been aware of it, over the off-season, we became involved in a really great project, the NLBM art. It was the October campaign ran from the 4th to the 10th of October. We interviewed 39 sports artists and makers in 3 weeks for that project. It was absolutely amazing. And we've continued to support that since, interviewing some great people. Just last week we spoke to the hilarious and talented Donna Muscarella, a Yankees fan, Paul. I always know how much I love my Yankees. It's been great doing that, and we're going to continue doing that. However, Ball Caps and Bagpipes Season 3 This is where it starts.
Yeah.
Let's play some fucking baseball, guys.
Yeah, I know it's been fun. Yeah, like I said, yeah, we're not supporting. We're still supporting the Negro League Museum, but we're focused more now on the Sean Gibson Association and the Buck Leonard and his thing there. So we have news coming out in 2 weeks on that. I know.
Yep. So hopefully we'll get a chance to speak to Tad or even some of the families about that news. So watch this space. You can keep up with everything that we are doing here on Facebook, facebook.com/capsandpipes. You probably know that. you're here watching it. Or also Twitter, @capsandpipes on Twitter. And we're also on Instagram @ballcapsandbagpipes.
Yeah, we only update the guests and stuff like there. So don't look for a lot of us on Instagram there.
Yeah. You can find us on Anchor. It's anchor.fm/capsandpipes. And we put out the audio version of this podcast on pretty much all the usual podcast platforms, Spotify, iTunes, all the rest. Just search for Ball Caps and Bagpipes. Paul, where can people keep up with the goings on at Baseball Scotland?
Right now, the best place is our social media channels on Twitter and Facebook. Much like all the clubs, they have Twitter and Facebook as well. So the best place to keep up with all the information is on social media.
Yeah. I think the Twitter's @Scots_baseball, isn't it? And it's just Baseball Scotland on Facebook, if I remember rightly. It's been a while. So
and we'll get our website fixed. It seems to have fallen apart just now.
No,
we'll get that
fixed. Andy Vaughan says, good work, guys, and thanks for the upcoming season info. Paul, I'll second that, Paul. Thanks so much for coming on. Saeed, Dicky, perfect way to close things. Great stuff as always, guys. Thanks, Saeed. And we look forward to speaking to you and everyone else around the league as we go on. I've been John McKayla.
I'm Jason Durr. Anytime.
Thank you so much again, Paul. And thanks for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.